Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another fascinating journey? Today, we're going way, way back to explore ancient cosmologies.
Yeah.
How ancient cultures all around the world, long before telescopes and modern science, viewed the universe.
Fascinating stuff.
We'll be looking at sources from all over, like Hinduism, ancient Egypt, even Mesopotamia, and the Norse myths, plus Zoroastrianism and ancient Chinese and indigenous cultures.
Really spanning the globe. It's incredible how many shared ideas about the cosmos pop up.
Yeah, like the idea of creation emerging from chaos.
Right.
You see it everywhere.
I mean, the Greeks had chaos, right?
Yeah. And the Egyptians had none, their version of these primordial waters.
Primordial waters, wow.
And the Norse, they had Ginnungagap, this yawning emptiness. So many cultures start with this formless state before the universe as we know it.
Almost like a shared human experience or intuition about existence. What do you think?
Compelling thought for sure. It kind of echoes in the Hindu belief in cyclical creation and destruction, too.
Kalpas, right?
Exactly. It's the idea that a universe is born, evolves, and then eventually collapses back in on itself only to be reborn again.
Whoa.
And that entire cycle, that's a kalpa. Creation isn't a one-time event, but an ongoing process of cosmic renewal.
A universe constantly in flux, going through these huge cycles.
Yeah.
Wild.
Totally challenges our linear view of time. To the Hindus, time isn't a straight line. It's more like a vast cyclical ocean.
Wow.
With waves of creation and destruction rising and falling. It definitely had to impact how they viewed life and death and the whole point of it all.
Wow, that's a whole different way of seeing things. It's almost like the universe is this giant breathing entity constantly expanding and contracting.
A great way to put it. And speaking of structure, another common thread is this division of the universe into 3 realms.
Wow.
Heaven, earth, and the underworld. It's like they were mapping out not just the physical layout, but the spiritual dimensions of the cosmos, too.
Our cosmic layer cake. And each culture seemed to represent these realms in their own unique way.
For sure. Like the Hindus envisioned Mount Meru, this sacred mountain connecting the realms.
Right.
It wasn't just a geographical feature, it represented the center of the universe, a bridge between earthly and divine.
And the Egyptians had this incredible image of a flat earth,
Oh, yeah.
embodied by the god Geb, covered by the sky goddess Nut. And who could forget the air god Shu, holding it all up? What a visual.
It's amazing. Egyptian cosmology was so rich with symbolism, even the Nile River played a big part.
Well, it was vital to their survival.
Exactly. But they also saw it as a reflection of this celestial river in the sky, representing the flow of life and creation's cyclical nature.
Connecting everyday life to their beliefs about the universe. But even with all that order, it wasn't always peaceful, right? We see these recurring narratives of cosmic battles and struggles to keep things, well, in order.
You're right. All those layers didn't mean peace and quiet. Think of the Babylonian creation myth.
Oh, the Enuma Elish.
That's the one, where Marduk, the god, slays this chaos goddess Tiamat to create order.
I always found it interesting how these battles weren't always about good versus evil, but bringing structure, you know? What did these battles represent to them?
I think it speaks to the inherent challenges of keeping order, keeping harmony. For the Babylonians, Marduk's victory wasn't just about good over evil, it was a necessary step to actually create a habitable world.
So creation itself required struggle.
And sacrifice. It wasn't just about establishing order, but this constant effort to actually preserve it against the forces of chaos.
Right. Reminds me of Ra, the Egyptian sun god. He battles Apep, that serpent of chaos, every night in the underworld.
Oh, to maintain Ma'at.
Right, their version of cosmic order.
Both myths really show that struggle to maintain balance. And for the Egyptians, Ma'at was everything. It wasn't just order, it was truth, justice, harmony.
It all tied back to their daily lives and actions.
Absolutely. Everything they did, rituals, offerings, even the pharaoh's rule, it all went towards upholding Ma'at and ensuring the universe kept running smoothly. It was a big deal to them.
This intricate web, the gods, the stars, their actions on Earth, it was all connected.
And that connection is even more obvious when you look at their creation myths. Each culture has such a unique and imaginative take on how it all began.
The cosmic egg in Hinduism, the Hiranyagarbha.
And the self-created god Atum in ancient Egypt. He basically willed other deities into existence.
And the Chinese, they have Pangu.
The giant who shaped the universe with his own body.
His breath became the wind, his voice the thunder, his flesh the earth. Wow.
It's more than just stories, These myths, they're windows into their values, beliefs, and anxieties.
It really shows how they grappled with those big questions.
Where did we come from?
What's our place? What's the nature of reality?
Exactly. And the power of human imagination to come up with these explanations is just mind-blowing.
It really is. And it's a reminder that even today, with all our advancements, we're still driven by that same curiosity, that same desire to understand the world around us.
Absolutely. We might have fancy telescopes and satellites, but the human quest to understand the universe and our role in it never gets old. And, maybe by looking back at these ancient cosmologies, we can gain a deeper appreciation for both the vastness of the cosmos and the power of human imagination. It's important to remember that these ancient cosmologies weren't like set in stone. They evolved over time, shaped by new discoveries or just changing ideas about society.
So these beliefs shifted and adapted throughout history.
Oh, yeah. The ancient Greeks are a good example. Their myths gave them this narrative for understanding the universe, but then philosophers like Plato and Aristotle came along.
Okay.
And they started exploring the cosmos with reason and observation, too. They began to kind of question those literal interpretations of the myths.
So they were moving away from purely mythical explanations.
Towards a more scientific approach, exactly.
Wow.
Aristotle, for example, proposed a geocentric model of the universe.
Putting the Earth at the center.
Right. With the sun, moon, and stars revolving around it.
And of course, that was later superseded. But it's still a huge step towards a more empirical understanding of the cosmos.
Definitely.
It really shows how these ancient cultures, even without our modern tools, were able to make progress in understanding the universe.
Their curiosity was amazing, and the power of human observation and reasoning can't be underestimated. They basically laid the groundwork for modern science, even if their conclusions weren't always spot on.
Their thirst for knowledge was inspiring. We've journeyed from this primordial chaos to the creation of worlds, explored these three-tiered universes in those cosmic battles, and grappled with some big concepts like cyclical time and sacred geography. But what can we, as modern listeners, really learn from all this?
I think one of the key takeaways is the power of storytelling. These ancient cosmologies weren't just dry explanations. They were narratives that help people make sense of the world, find meaning, cope with things they didn't understand.
So it wasn't just about the stars and planets. It was about being human.
Exactly. And even though science has come a long way since then, I think these ancient myths still speak to us. They touch on this universal need to understand our place in the cosmos, our place in the big picture.
It really is humbling to think that despite all our technology, we're still asking some of the same questions that fascinated our ancestors thousands of years ago.
I know. These ancient cosmologies give us this valuable perspective. Our understanding of the universe is always evolving. What we see as truth today might be tomorrow's myth. It makes you approach things with a bit more humility.
Open-mindedness, too. So as we wrap up our deep dive, what stands out to you? What do you hope our listeners take away from all of this?
What I find most amazing is this universal human search for meaning. It doesn't matter if it's through myth or religion or science. We're always trying to understand our place in the universe. And these ancient cosmologies, with all their imagery and symbolism, they're such a strong testament to that.
Beautifully put. We're all part of something much larger than ourselves. Part of a story that's been unfolding for billions of years.
And each of us, no matter how small our lives may seem, is woven into the fabric of this incredible, vast cosmos.
It's amazing how these cultures connected their understanding of the universe to their lives, practically. We've talked about some big themes, but I'm kind of curious about the unique stuff, the quirky parts of each culture's cosmology.
Oh, there's tons of those.
Oh, I bet.
Well, like the ancient Egyptians, their creator god, Atum,
Okay.
he emerged from these primordial waters.
Right.
And created other deities through thought and speech and, bodily fluids.
Bodily fluids. Wait, what? That's not something you hear every day. What does that even represent?
It might seem strange to us now, but to the Egyptians, it kind of gets at the creative power of the divine, It wasn't just about the physical act of creation, but this power of will and energy bringing life and order from that chaos.
It's like their creation myth had this idea of life's sacredness baked right in,
Right.
even in its most basic forms.
Exactly. And then you have the Chinese with Pangu, the giant, coming from a cosmic egg, shaping the universe with his own body.
His breath became the wind, his voice thunder. I remember that one.
His flesh, the earth. It's a cosmic anatomy lesson.
Seriously. They saw the universe as this extension of this primordial being, like a reflection of the divine in nature.
And speaking of nature, indigenous cultures often have really diverse creation stories. Animals are central to a lot of them,
Oh, yeah.
like the earth diver myth found in several Native American traditions.
Okay.
It describes a time when, like, everything was water. And this diving animal, often a turtle or a muskrat, brings up mud to create the land.
What an image. What does that tell us about how they viewed the cosmos?
It really highlights how interconnected humans and nature are in their worldview.
Yeah.
Animals weren't just creatures, they were powerful beings, often acting as like go-betweens for humans and the spirit world. And that earth diver myth really points to the idea that creation was a team effort between the divine and the natural world.
And reinforces that cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth.
Mhm.
We also see in like Hindu cosmology with reincarnation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This understanding that everything's connected and life is this constant cycle of transformation and renewal.
It's amazing that these cultures, even though they develop these ideas independently, they end up with similar conclusions about the universe and our place in it. But knowing what we know now about science, how do these ancient beliefs hold up? Do they?
That's a good question. From a purely scientific perspective, yeah, a lot of these cosmologies have been, well, kind of replaced. We know the Earth isn't flat, the sun doesn't revolve around us, and the universe wasn't created in 7 days.
Right. Right.
But that doesn't mean those myths aren't valuable.
So it's not about taking them literally. It's more about understanding the meaning behind them.
Exactly. They weren't meant to be science textbooks. They were ways to understand the world,
Right.
to ask big questions about existence, to pass on their values and beliefs. They give us a glimpse into the human mind, our constant need to understand our place in the cosmos.
It's like they speak to something universal about us. Our awe at the universe, our search for meaning, our connection to nature. These are things that go beyond time and culture.
You said it perfectly. Science keeps moving forward, but I think these ancient cosmologies will always have things to teach us about ourselves, about our place in the cosmos, and about that never-ending human search for meaning.
I love that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into these ancient cosmologies, I'm filled with a sense of wonder, really, and a new appreciation for how powerful our imaginations can be. It's incredible how much we've learned about the universe, but those fundamental questions about who we are, where we come from, where we're going, those are timeless.
That's the cool part. The universe is huge and mysterious and always changing. Our journey to understand it through science, through spirituality, that journey never really ends.
So to our listener, as you go about your day, maybe look up at the sky for a minute. Just take in how vast it is. Remember those who came before us, who looked at those same stars, asked those same big questions? Their stories might surprise you. Their wisdom might inspire you. And their search for meaning might just lead you to your own.